champion select for game number 1. Echo Fox, as we said, on the blue side, P1 hanging out over on the red, and Kindred, no surprises there, will be the first ban, followed directly by Nidalee.
Yeah, this has really been basically very, very standard so far. If Kindred gets taken off the table, Nidalee is soon to follow, and vice versa. These are the clear top 2 junglers right now. Players do not want to give one away if one gets taken off the page. Echo and Ryze going to be next 2 to get knocked off. And Echo, you know, it's performed very, very well for a long time. It is getting some nerfs in 6.11, which is live now, but we're still on the 6.10 patch here, so this is a very strong version of Echo.
And Ryze, of course, just a strong champion. That's another one. Lucian, certainly a champion that's been a very commonly banned AD carry, which is usually not a role that gets targets, but Lucian just far too strong, particularly on this patch.
Yeah, a lot of people are just having trouble dealing with the champion, especially because it already has a very strong laning phase. You combine that with the fact that the Ghostblade Black Cleaver build just even emphasizes that much further. It's so strong in the early game, absolutely dominant in the mid game, something that people have to be very scared of. Vladimir going to be taken away though, and the Swain hover, will we actually get to see the Birdman? He's coming to get locked in.
Yeah. I actually do have it, so nice to see him there. Finally going to get a game on Swain, but I was about to say the 6 bans we saw seem to be the standard bans and forgot people usually ban Swain. So P1 pretty much knew they were giving this away. We'll see what their response is here on the red side.
Yeah, I think there is some flexibility in how you want to do it. You can basically say you're not going to ban any junglers. You can focus the mid lane mages, top lane bans. There's a lot of flexibility in how people are doing their bans, but there seems to be some pretty significant patterns as well. So Rek'Sai has been kind of the top of the pile as far as the next tier of junglers. People are really taking him pretty highly. As far as Fox's picks here now, I don't think they need to draft their jungler unless they're trying to hide their strategy, because both Elise, you know, Gragas, champions like that, those are going to be available. And since Rek'Sai is already taken off the table, they don't have to worry about picking it right now.
Yep, strong blind pick mid laner as well in Azir, so we'll see if Froggen's maybe got something special in store. Swain, of course, could go mid as well, so there are plenty of options here for Echo Fox, but do need to lock in a few more picks here. We'll see what Coach Cop has in store for the team's draft. Running out of time, though, to make these next few picks. And like you said, don't want to show too much here with this particular part of the draft.
Yeah, for Phoenix1, you know, pick up your mid laner first round. They're obviously just very confident in the Azir regardless of what he played into, but that does give away your counter pick advantage of being on red side. That's something that a lot of teams like to hold for their last pick to get that mid lane advantage, and especially when you're playing against someone who is as good as Froggen, you may want to have that advantage for Pirean. So Sivir and Karma going to be locked in, going to give this team a lot of speed, help Swain get into the middle of the fight where he wants to be, and very quick response.
Yeah,
this draft
instant
is
actually.
So fast.
Yeah, these two teams definitely prepared here for game 1, but Zyra, Ezreal are actually the lock-ins there for P1. I'm assuming that's their bottom lane. It'd be very difficult for Zyra to wander anywhere else, but P1 definitely with a plan here.
Yeah, I mean, Zyra is a strong mid laner, but I just can't see Azir going anywhere else. So that, to me, is what makes it pretty clearly the support. It's going to be an extremely poke-heavy lane. It's super annoying to deal with these kind of lanes. As long as Zyra kind of stays back, stays out of threat, Ezreal's a very slippery AD carry, hard to gank. So it is one of those lanes that can draw jungle attention simply because Zyra is very squishy and can be taken out, and if left unchecked, it can really get a big advantage for your bot lane.
Well, I'm not sure if Echo Fox have been thrown for a loop here because those picks were so fast, but they are going to have to finish a draft here, and they're going to lock these in. All right, Maokai and Kha'Zix will make his return to the LCS.
So this is a pretty fun draft, actually. I'm getting very excited for this game. Kha'Zix is something we did see actually play solo lane in LCK. It's something that has been a pretty hot solo queue pick ever since the last Kha'Zix buffs. He does have, you know, better clear since then, so it's a jungle assassin we haven't seen in quite some time. He's very, very strong. If he gets ahead early, oh, is it going to be? Oh, wow. I don't know if they're actually, okay, yeah. I was like, are they going to jungle Maokai?
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. The Kha'Zix definitely is a champion that has a huge snowball potential. It'll be interesting to see how they do build it. If you get ahead, you certainly can go full class cannon assassin. For competitive, we used to see Kha'Zix built more kind of conservatively with the tanky style. I'm very interested to see how hard it's going to build this, though. And obviously, Trundle, really solid top lane pick here for Zig. We heard the guys on the desk talking about how excited they are to see him play, and he's been given a very advantageous matchup with a strong early game jungler in Rek'Sai, so this is his chance to carve out an advantage for himself and make his mark.
Yep, last pick's not too surprising or particularly elegant, but it will certainly be enough there for Zig in the top lane to maybe get some work done. Plenty of strong split pushing power there as well. And I like it already, day 2, you know, only, what, 6 games in now? I guess there's another one going on, so we'll see what happens as the coaches shake hands after that draft. Oh, I always wonder whenever coaches shake hands, like, did they just, like, needle the other guy? It's like, huh, I didn't expect that, did you? That's, in my head, that's what they're saying.
Yeah, could be, who knows? But either way, we are going to be heading on in.
Certainly are. We're going to get down onto Summoner's Rift for the first game of the day. And as we go, tweet your predictions for who will come out on top in this one using the hashtag FOXWin or hashtag P1Win. This is quite a fun draft to kick things off here. Super excited to see how this goes. And Froggen actually going to get Swain, one of those big mage updates we talked about. A player that's been around forever. You expect him to be on top of these strong mages since all of the changes have come through. He's going to have a chance to prove himself here in game 1, but that's true of pretty much all of P1 as well.
Certainly. And one of the cool things about these mid lane mages, these new mages like Swain, like Vladimir, etc. They are great flex picks. So they first pick the Swain, but you don't actually know where it's going, right? This can be top lane, this can be mid lane, and that is something that does kind of add to its power. We're going to see Ignite taken here by Gate, so pretty aggressive summoner. Most players have been favoring Ignite. Big actually going to go with the exhaust, though. I think it makes some sense, certainly, but it's hard to find those really good exhaust targets sometimes for Karma against these players, because who are you really going to exhaust? I guess the Azir if he dives in and so on like that, but it can be tough. Whereas not having an exhaust against a Kha'Zix can actually be pretty scary if he does get going.
Well, you can see that bird's been put down already. Pirean going to walk his way around it. Froggen actually started with Corrupting Potion in the mid lane, usually a top laner item, but makes plenty of sense here on the mid lane Swain.
It's definitely very good. Swain is someone who's going to want to have a lot of sustain. He's going to want to probably try to push it out base relatively early. I think just having the efficiency of that item early on is really nice. If you can get away with it in lane, then it's fantastic. You're never going to have to spend any more gold the rest of the game on your potions.
Well, you can see it looks like maybe Echo Fox are looking for a swap here. I think they're aware that there are wards in that river, so they might have to go late. I'm going to start now. They are on the top side of the map, but I'm going to get spotted there by a nice red ward from P1. And that's actually not the safe side of the jungle anymore, so P1 going to have to adapt that early jungle pathing.
Yeah, so there is a lane swap being done, and is going to be getting harassed here by Keith, because Keith is coming around. Neither team seems super sure of what the other was doing, and they're going to try to poke away at them. And now they do kind of have full information. They know what is up right now, and KFO is going to get caught out here and take some poke himself.
Yeah, maybe not worth the 1 CS, but he does get it. He'll pop a charge of the potion and then go back home. So got a little bit of experience before the lane swap happened.
Yeah, and the experience is the important part. You'd love to pick up CS if you can, but just getting that early experience is quite nice, because he wasn't double jungling, so he has to get something going.
And big, I like this. Just kind of driving by mid lane. Pirean will return in kind, and big poke damage on the back end at level 2 there for Azir. But Froggen, just a little bit of extra space, and big doesn't really need to be anywhere else right now. Might as well be annoying.
Yeah, Karma also has one of the strongest level 1s in the game, because you do start with that mantra. You do start with your ultimate already, so going to be able to kind of use that as best he can. And there's nothing else for him really to do, because Keith is slow pushing it top lane. They want to be there for when it's going to crash into the turret, but it wasn't just yet. And they've actually set it up really well, so they're going to have a huge wave. All 4 members arriving at the perfect time, so pretty well done here by Echo Fox already.
Beautiful stuff here, and you can see they're actually going to leave Kha'Zix to jungle. Hard will continue taking that top half of the jungle away, and we are going to get a pretty standard start here for both of these teams. I imagine Zentinel will take this red buff and pop his way down if he needs to, but I'm pretty sure there are 3 members in both of these lanes here, so should see that early tower push, and I guess it's where they go next is our first big question of the lane swap.
Yeah, the standard kind of NA meta for this is generally you take 1 turret, and then you kind of just shake hands, you go the other lane, take each other's second turret, and it's usually a 2 for 2. Sometimes teams do try to make the adaptation and hold on, stop them from being able to do that, and you can try to defend, but generally it is kind of the safer option to just trade the 2 turrets for 2.
Yeah, you can see Maokai going to collect the gold and try and get the bounce here. KFO should have this all lined up relatively well, so that's going to be A-okay, although a few too many creeps there. You can see Zig, though, lining it up very nicely. Going to pull that wave all the way back and get as much free time as he can with the minions. Yeah,
it was actually a pretty big wave stacked up that's going to be pushing towards Zig, which is definitely a nice situation for him.
You can see mid lane harass still there for Froggen. Do, of course, have an isolated mid lane through all the lane swapping. Froggen actually doing a nice job kind of using that Q range we heard about on the analyst test to just zone Pirean out. Normally, Azir is the champion that outranges you, but Froggen, with the Corrupting Potion, doing a really nice job early on, actually has about a 10 CS lead so far.
Yeah, one of the really annoying things about Swain is with the old Q, you basically just had to walk back and leash it, and then you could go right back in. With this, it does maintain that zone control, and although it won't retarget you when you go back in, unless you get E'd, you can actually drop the Q on them, it'll go on them, then you wait, you E them if they come back in, and it'll retarget. So it's super annoying in the early lane. It's also fantastic at CSing. I believe it gets bonus damage, kind of like an execute damage on the Q to finish off minions. So it's one of the reasons it's so good at CSing, and one of the reasons Froggen has this big lead early on.
Yep, actually going to force Pirean back, who does have teleport on Azir. That's not a commonly seen option, but I guess decides that he does want the double teleport this time around. So grabs a second door and a dagger, moves his way back to lane, but Froggen now going to get his back in. I'm expecting something along the lines of a Catalyst here, because Rod of Ages has been a super popular item since the update, and there's the Catalyst.
Yeah, Catalyst just works so well with Swain. Because the passive, you're basically just like feeding mana and health into yourself. So all the mana you spend, you get health back for, and all the damage you take, you get mana back for, which just allows his ultimate to go and go and go. His ultimate is already giving him health back from the mana he's spending. Now he gets even more, and he's in there tanking damage, which is just feeding him the mana and allowing that ultimate to keep running.
And you can see the trade there. Froggen does land the snare and then just goes straight in for the damage. Happy to tank up a little bit of Sand Soldier autos because, yep, he's got the Catalyst. He's feeling pretty good on Swain. We did have the most standard variation of the lane swap, by the way. KFO is actually going to take this tower down, so we will have 2 turrets apiece falling down relatively quickly.
Yeah, worth mentioning, though, that P1 is actually not in position to take the top turret, and that's still sitting at full HP. So it's actually a 2-for-1, which is a pretty big coup for Echo Fox. You really shouldn't be able to just get a second free turret like that at all. And, you know, Pirean, he does not have a flask of his own. He doesn't have any potions left. So the poke from Swain is going to be pretty annoying, and he's going to have to continually invest into those health potions to be able to stay alive.
You see P1 now pinging that top lane. I saw a bunch of people pushing and assumed that we were just getting the standard, but you're right. That tower actually does stay incredibly healthy there in the top lane. So KFO's going to go up there now. Probably going to be safe for a little while in a 1v2, although it does have to collect a bit more CS. Keith's not going to join in, though, and that's going to move Zig straight off this lane. Looks like Sivir's just going to push it out, try and get a bit more side pressure down. Rek'Sai can also join, does ulti down to that bottom side of the map, but if P1 can't take that turret, that is just basically gold given away.
It is, certainly, but the advantage that P1 got from that is that their jungler was almost 2 full levels up. So Hard just got a level there, but he's getting out farmed pretty heavily. And a level 6 Rek'Sai, you really are not going to be too happy about that as the Kha'Zix, as a jungler that wants to snowball, that wants to be able to duel the other jungler, isolate them, and get that early game pressure. And because he has fallen behind on that, it's going to be tougher for him to do so.
Look at this, 7 minutes in, we're going to go for this Infernal Drake. Echo Fox in a great position. They already see 2 people top lane. KFO can TP in if he needs to as well. So this should probably just be a dragon taken away with no contest here from P1.
Definitely will, and another thing that Kha'Zix does excel at is taking these neutral objectives because they're permanently isolated. And look at the damage out on Pirean. Like I said, he has no health potions. He's going to have to base pretty soon because if he gets caught in a W, he's going to be dead. And Fox may actually look for a dive.
Yeah, you can see they're kind of in the area for it, but I'm going to walk past the pink ward. Do spot it though. Big gets the auto in on Karma. This blue buff just going to go over to Hard instead. So taking jungle, which is good. Zentinel though on the other side, hard farming as well. Might even look for something in that top half of the map. KFO though, level 4, he's feeling awfully vulnerable.
Zig also has a lot of CS here on KFO and an advantageous matchup, even with the greedy build, picked himself up a call. So as he can cash in on these wards, that's how Phoenix1 is going to look to carve out their advantages. You know, jungle priority, top lane priority, plus a really good matchup means that if you can actually isolate that, get the 1v1 between the Maokai and the Trundle, Trundle should absolutely smash it.
Yep, and the gold does even up as the tower will go down there in the top side. Echo Fox trying this tier 2, getting good damage down, but Zig managing to defend for now. I guess the trade there in the end, assuming this tower stays up for a little while longer, is just really that dragon for that top lane outer. So P1, yes, a little late to the early lane swap, but they kind of make it right in the end.
Yep, they do get the farm advantage. They give up the early dragon, so the teams know what they're trading for. I think it's pretty reasonable on both sides. You can make arguments either way. Pretty impressive advantage being opened up here by Froggen, though. Pirean's actually really struggling, down almost 30 CS, now 30 CS. Is pretty brutal this early on into the game to be down 30 CS at 9 minutes in a professional level where you haven't actually been ganked.
Yep.
is pretty rough.
Especially in this situation because the mid lane has been isolated for so long. Froggen's just done a great job harassing. We've seen that multiple times when we popped to check in on the lane. That is actually going to force Pirean back again, though. Does have his TP if he wants to use it once more. He is going to TP back to lane. He just knows he cannot fall that far behind.
Yeah, he has to, and that's probably why he did take TP, because he just feels like, hey, this is going to be a rough lane. I don't really need the combat summoner. I just need to stay relevant and farm. And I think picking up the refillable potion here is pretty smart as well, because he's seeing like just how much he was struggling with that. Another thing that did give Froggen the advantage is they were actually able to take away the other team's blue buff. And so he got that blue buff, now he's getting another blue buff. So he's basically never gonna run out of mana, just spamming spells. Even if you avoid everything, the E is point and click. And that's gonna get some damage with the EQ combo every single time. So it's definitely a bit of a rough situation for Pirean because of that.
Certainly is, and you can see Froggen goes back. He's gonna waddle back to lane as well, so holds the TP for a potential play. And a sub 10-minute Rod of Ages is awfully strong in a matchup that Froggen is already excelling at. So we'll see if he can become the monster we expect from Swain, I suppose, given that he's been banned so often. But still early days here in this one. It looks like 3 members of Echo Fox. They're just going to move to this top left-hand side jungle, trying to apply some pressure, see if they can't find a catch. But Gate playing back nice and safe, going to sweep out that ward as well.
Still, I do worry about just how much free time they're giving Zig. It's level 7 to level 5 Maokai. The CS lead is just getting worse and worse, and he's on a cult. Like, that's just getting worse and worse. I mean, they need someone bot lane to actually pick up this farm. So KFO is going to back. He's going to try to get over there and collect as much as he can. And we're going to have to see KFO try to make some plays, you know, use his TP, come in with the TP flanks and pick up kills that way, because in the isolated matchup, he's going to get smashed.
Well, you can see actually Rift Herald started by Echo Fox, but Big's going to find the snare on Zentinel instead. Zyra, though, there to defend. So Echo Fox, very heavy objective control so far. Actually go for an early Rift Herald, something we weren't sure we were going to see.
Yeah, they weren't able to actually pick it up, though, because they got detected. They didn't want to take the risk, so it gets reset and not going to be able to grab that advantage for themselves. But it would be nice, and it would help to even out some of these matchups. You know, jungle and top, they both have kind of fallen a bit behind, so it would be nice for either of those guys to pick up that buff if they can.
Well, at this point, it just feels like with the gold being pretty close to even, P1 actually up about 500 gold now, but it's gone back and forth for the first few minutes of this game. Just feels like they've effectively traded 2 solo lane advantages. Froggen's winning the lane very handily there in mid, but KFO is definitely behind Zig there in that top side. So all things sort of even out. I guess, what would you rather have, a big Swain or a big Trundle? Because that's sort of what we're getting to now in the mid game.
I think it really depends how it shakes out. As far as team fighting, I'd prefer the Swain. But if P1 can spread out the map and get these side lane fights, it's going to be the Trundle that makes a bigger difference.
Well, looks like Dragon back in a minute 40, but people in the area. KFO, though, snared up, could be problems. Now going to go in onto Zig. Very nice flash out there from the Twisted Advance. Froggen actually going back in onto Pirean, almost gets himself the kill, but KFO lives as well. So no first blood just yet.
But Pirean had to flash there in the 1v1. So while, you know, KFO did have to flash, wasn't really close to going down, this does give Fox the mid lane advantage, and they can try to get some damage down here, can try to shove it in, and that's exactly what they're going for.
Yep,
because there's no real wave flare.
Yep, Berserker Greaves Sivir pretty good. With Azir absent, like you mentioned, Zyra, I guess, doing some work there, but okay, Fox will actually give that up and maybe rotate bottom side now. Good ulti there from Ezreal. Is going to spot them all coming, but I'm not sure he can stop this tower from going down. It's just Mash right now, although Azir is right behind him.
And Echo Fox pretty far up here, so they do think better of it. They don't necessarily know that they want to tie themselves into a kind of all-in fight. If you do push up to that turret, you have the ability to get flanked by this Trundle. It's already pretty strong, and you know, the Azir coming in from behind with a shuffle could be pretty scary, so they're just going to play it safe. They do get some chip damage on both mid and bot. They're just going to go back to farming.
Yep, looking to reset because Dragon back up in 35 seconds. Although right now Echo Fox going to steal them away. Another blue buff. Donate that over to Froggen. He does get it. So unfortunately for Pirean, things are going from bad to worse in this mid lane matchup because he's been starved of his buff as well.
Yeah, 3 straight blue buffs for Froggen. Great objective control from Echo Fox, and a lot of priority being put into getting Froggen ahead just simply because of this. You know, Kha'Zix has obviously fallen a little bit behind on the CS, but he's holding pretty even now, and he's spending a lot of his time making sure that Froggen gets these blue buffs, securing the objectives. The whole team was rotating for that, and they know how important this mid lane advantage is, and they really want to see Froggen get tanky and take over team fights. So look to see him pick up probably a Spirit Position next.
You can see he's still holding strong in that mid lane, making sure no one comes through without being undetected. Ward's getting swept up by Echo Fox means they are prepping for this next Dragon. And they've started already, and it's another Infernal. Not bad.
Not bad at all. And with both Rek'Sai and Trundle topside, they're going to look to trade the Rift Herald for this, but Fox has the ability to respond to this. It's not going to get taken that quickly. Doesn't look like they have any interest in doing so, though. They are going to back off, but 2 Infernal Dragons already for Fox is pretty huge.
Yep. Really nice potential snowball opening up, but Rek'Sai does go over. We'll give it to Zig, who's certainly got the champion in the lane for it, given how things are going early on. So we'll see if Trundle can be a nuisance, because he's got 20 minutes now at the buff, which is pretty absurd.
And he already had the advantage in this matchup, so this just makes it that much worse for KFO. And this is Phoenix1's win condition, basically. They're up in gold. They've given up 2 dragons, though. You know, Echo Fox is kind of banking on the late game, on the impact that the Infernal Dragon is going to have for them, and also on the fact that Froggen can carry these fights, because they're investing a lot into him, and you can really clearly see the team's plans on both sides. For Phoenix1, they're like, okay, Zig, you're going to crush this guy, you're going to split push, we're probably going to do some 1-3-1 type stuff, have Pirean clearing waves in the side lanes, have Zig smash in the Maokai, whereas Froggen and Echo Fox really are looking a lot more to group up, engage with the Sivir, the Mantra shields from Big, and have KFO just lock someone down and get taken out by this Kha'Zix and this Swain.
Yeah, and I like it. Froggen finally gets a shop in, Swiftness boots, and a Spectre's Cowl. So I suspect everyone's new favorite mid lane item, Spirit Visage, will be making yet another appearance.
Yeah, and it's so good especially when you're already outpacing your opponent. The Azir is just not going to really be able to do anything to him, not going to be able to push him back, and Froggen going to go down and say, thank you very much. 3 waves stacked up, so that sounds nice.
I'll take it. And Mash is like, yeah, I'm trying to poke you, but I'm 3 levels down. There are only 2 as he does ding level 9. Froggen's like, yep, I'll just hold this wave. No problems at all here. And that Mash doesn't want to go anywhere near him. Keith busy mid lane, going to shove that Invid Zentinel's there to catch the wave. As Pirean does pick up the Nash's too, he's going to make his way back to the mid lane.
That is one kind jungler. He's holding the wave, not even taxing him, man. That wave would be gone. I'm like, don't worry, bro. I'll push it out for you. I'll get the next wave too. I got you.
Already building a synergy, which is nice. Pirean, given the situation, probably very happy for that. Echo Fox, though, rotating themselves top lane. Keith in position with actually 3 other members of his team to try and knock down this turret. See if they can't break a side lane open.
Yeah, Mash going to respond with the Ezreal while Trundle gets in there pretty quickly, clears it out with the help of Pirean. So not able to just yet. And it's kind of funny just the way this game looks is it's Fox making all the rotations first. They're the ones that are kind of setting the pace of the game, even though P1 do have that gold lead.
Certainly looking good so far. Froggen was applying nice pressure in the bottom lane as well, but Echo Fox really just using the Sivir and bouncing between top and mid lane at this point. They're happy to use Froggen as a fulcrum. They can pivot around him given how strong he is at this point. But no terrorism going down. P1 have done a good job defending, and this is sort of the thing with a lot of these wave clear mid laners. Even though Pirean, yes, he had a bad start to the lane, still behind a significant amount of CS.
Yeah, a lot.
Azir with the Nashes, still able to wave clear.
Yeah, the Azir is definitely going to be strong and has a really powerful late game. Zyra is actually going to be so much more useful than Big later in the game as well as far as actual damage output. The Zyra is going to be stomping on the Karma. The Karma is much more of an enabler, a force multiplier, if you will, for the rest of his team. So we'll have to see how this is all going to work out. Both teams do have solid late games, but in different ways.
Well, kind of waiting for the next item breakpoint at this point, so we'll have a check in there. Sunfire kept done for KFO, but Ravenous Hydra done now for Zig, so he's definitely set up for the split push with the Rift Herald buff as well. We've mentioned the Nashers, we've seen the Roller, and now the Spirit Visage coming along for Froggen as well. Looks like Keith isn't quite there yet on the Infinity Edge, but shouldn't be too far away, with Mash actually well on the way for his build as well. So feels like everyone's gearing towards 1 or 2 items.
Yeah,
we should have a pretty
They are collapsing on Froggen here in the bot lane, though, and the TP is going to come in for both teams immediately.
2v4, Froggen going to try and make it happen. Flashes in towards Keith, but the snare's not going to land. Still living forever, though, but they should be able to take him down. Froggen not dead yet. Gets moved back in with the ulti. Froggen still alive, and actually gets first blood on Zyra, but will go down. KFO, though, awfully low, will go on the other side, but Zentinel barely getting away with his life, but I don't think Zig's so lucky. It is Keith with the double.
What a collapse from Echo Fox there. Great stuff from them. Froggen delaying as long as he possibly could. KFO TP'd in first. He was there so fast. We saw Keith even popping the ult to get there faster with the Karma. And first blood actually goes to Froggen in the 1v3, so not too bad.
And he just got his Spirit Visage, which he did not have before that fight started, and still managed to live for an obscene amount of time. Unfortunately, Echo Fox, I don't think they can get anything else, maybe a blue buff taken over, so Pirean's still going to get denied there. But if people are wondering why Swain's getting banned a lot, that's why. That was absolutely absurd.
Yeah, he did a great job, honestly, to his credit, avoiding a lot of the damage. He did catch Zentinel with his root. You know, he's forcing out the summoners. He's going aggressive onto Mash, so Mash actually can't play this as optimally as he would want. And Froggen just immediately goes straight for Mash. He knows that he has to put pressure onto this guy. He's able to actually flash over the Ezreal ultimate, it looked like there, and then he sees Gate is taking a lot of damage. So KFO comes in. Froggen and KFO are actually able to finish off Gate before he goes down, netting him the first blood, and his team has put out so much damage in this. Mash assumes, Zentinel's low, and Zig is going to be the last casualty here. So fantastic stuff there from Echo Fox, and especially by Froggen to be able to, you know, make the best out of a bad situation.
Yep, certainly do turn that around, and now all of a sudden, we got 5 kills on the board, 3-2 there for Echo Fox, they will claim the kill advantage. Not quite the gold lead, unfortunately.
No.
Actually, P1 still holding strong there, but this game is so close, and we're just 20 minutes in, with everybody starting to scale up.
Yeah, so it is a Mountain Drake coming out next, another big one. Having already given up 2 Infernals as P1, you really do not want to give up the objective dragon as well, because this is just giving all the late game advantages over. As we're hitting 20 minutes, Baron's going to be up. They want to contest for this, and this is going to be the first true big team fight. A lot of summoners were blown in that skirmish in the bot lane, so we'll see, you know, who's going to make the first move here. I have to say, Fox really has the better 5v5 lineup at this point in the game, I feel.
They'll look to try and abuse that, but P1 looking to get sneaky. But they're on top of a ward, so that's not particularly sneaky. Keith gonna pop the ulti, and that starts straight in onto Gate. Gate getting awfully low. Maybe gonna go down and does fall to KFO, who's just tanking out the front line. Froggen looking for the flank, finds Mash as Maokai gets the double, and now Zentinel gonna get himself chased down. The snare doesn't quite land, but the twisted advance wheel. Keith gets himself a third, and Echo Fox clean that up.
Yeah, disaster for Phoenix1 there, as Fox just absolutely crushes them in that team fight. They have the 5v5 squad. There's no way to escape the Sivir ult, the Mantra E from the Karma as well. They just get so fast into there, and although Gate did his best trying to counter-engage with his ultimate, was able to pop a couple of them up, it was too little too late. Ezreal cannot punch through the Maokai at this stage in the game. When Froggen came in with the flank, it was lights out.
Yep, I'm going to see it again because this was a wonderfully executed team fight by Echo Fox.
Yeah, and they're going to focus right onto Gate. They know Zyra has a lot of damage to put out, but is not very tanky. Froggen is actually able to TP in from the back in combination with KFO. They take out the AD carry. Pirean and Zig were not in position because this was Phoenix1 that was trying to basically sneak this, right? They had 2 other solo laners in the mid lane. They were not together as a unit, and that's exactly the kind of fights that Fox wants, because they're going to use these move speed buffs, they're going to pounce on you, and they're going to eliminate one half of your team before you can get back together. So Phoenix1 definitely needs to play a little bit safer with that, stay together as a 5-man unit, you know, utilize the Azir disengage, the zoning control that they do have. But
nope, not yet. Actually do get spotted by Keith. I was wondering. They were posturing for Baron, but don't quite take it. I mean, we can see the gold lead here. Echo Fox are actually not that far ahead on pure gold alone, and Keith may be caught. Pirean going to go in for it, but an exhaust from Big. Now going to get locked down by the snare. Azir, though, is going to stand his ground. Big able to peel away, but Keith does have to burn the ulti to get away. And this tower looking maybe like it's under attack.
Definitely under attack. Not too many minions there to keep this siege going, though. Another wave is going to come in, but with Froggen here, he should be able to clear this out pretty easily. The tower is pretty healthy. I don't really see it going down.
Yeah, Froggen almost just going to face tank up some of this poke. Ezreal not really doing too much. Able to clear that out very comfortably. So Echo Fox, clean hold there on that mid lane turret. KFO actually bottom side also getting a wave going. So again, really emphasizing the objective control that they've shown in this game. It's 3 dragons to nothing with an Earth and 2 Infernals. Echo Fox are well set up if they continue playing a very clean rotational game.
I gotta give a tip of the hat as well to Mash. He's got next Choosers calling.
Oh, baby.
But we're in there. So a fantastic item. Reduces the healing, applies grievous wounds on every physical damage. So basically on your Q, it's going to be able to do that. Your auto attacks is going to be able to do that. It's putting the debuff on characters like Maokai, like the Swain, which have a massive amount of healing that you really want to cut out.
Yep, and that's one of those items that when we see the Vlads and the Swains going around, even before, with all the lifesteal that was hanging out with the likes of Kindred, Grievous Wounds was still very good to have, so definitely a good buy. And a must buy, I agree with you there, for Mash. And also so cheap, so all looking good there.
Yeah, and some of our questions are being answered here about the Kha'Zix. It is that full DPS build. He has Warrior, he went into the Hex Drinker. It's looking like he is perhaps even in building towards that Maw right away, so very heavy damage build here from Hard, and so far so good for the Kha'Zix.
Well, other than that, looks like Mash is just trying to defend the top side, because Froggen with the TP almost back up, not quite yet. Was applying a bit of pressure. Zig, though, hasn't really been able to get the split push truly started. I think his buff's actually wearing off relatively soon, not too short.
We'll have he's got quite some time still. He's
20-minute buff?
Yeah, he's got about, probably 10 more minutes or so. So he's got a lot of time with it, and he does have a chance to make stuff happen. But they need to spread out the map. There's a couple steps that they need to do here. They need to get deep vision, which they have none of. For Zig, first of all, to be able to split push aggressively, they need to track where the other team is with wards. They need to be applying pressure in other lanes, and that is going to unlock the Trundle to really be able to get aggressive, to assert his dominance over the Maokai. And because that's not really happening, although he's been able to win this 1v1 for so long, nothing has come of it really. And because KFO picked up all these team fight kills and assists, he's actually been involved with everything. He's 2-1-4, so 100% kill participation from him. He's actually closed the gap a lot in the gold, and he's getting tanky enough that you can't really abuse this guy.
Yeah, and I mean, Maokai will be Maokai. Eventually gets the 3 items and starts doing work. Not that Zig is going to drop off particularly hard.
Nope.
Slash not at all. But it does feel like the teams are just scaling up here. And again, EchoFox more than happy to play the map more than their opponents this time around. And Froggen CS, I mean, I know he holds the record, but this is just getting silly.
Yeah, he's always been an amazing farmer. He has the kills, the assists as well. He loves picking up, the wraiths on cooldown, loves to farm the jungle, and he's a guy who really makes good use of it. He's working very likely towards that Rylai's now that he does have the Roa as well as the Spirit Visage, and he's heavily outpacing the Azir right now. 1,400 or so gold ahead of his opponent is a big deal this season.
Certainly is, and you can see Pirean does have his Rylai, so kind of combat ready in a lot of ways, but maybe missing a third item to really start dishing out that Azir damage we've seen so many times. Keith also built up nicely. We talked about Mash's good choices before. These are very standard stuff from Sivir, but still good nonetheless with the Essence Reaver and the Static Shiv. It just feels like can P1 crack these tanks in the team fights, because I think they're still waiting to get to the point where they can actually kill the front line that's diving straight into their back line.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, and Pirean, he's going to need that Void Staff even more than normal, because this is a mid laner who itemizes Spirit Visage. So this is a Spirit Visage in the mid lane, a Spirit Visage in the top lane, a Maw going to be coming out of the jungle. We have the Aegis being built on Big, so this is going to be a very MR heavy team, and Azir's really going to need that Void Staff, but it looks like Zig's going to be caught here.
Aggressive collapse, but Zig, I don't think he can really last the night. Does pop his ulti and try and escape. Good flash out of the snare. Actually will keep him alive, because P1 have started Baron is the reason that EchoFox are trying to get over there, and Baron's almost dead. Phoenix1 is going to steal this one away. I think EchoFox got a bit too greedy. Baron goes down. Zyra's going to snare them up, and they're going to try and get away. Zentinel running from the scene of the crime, but Froggen is going to slow him. No, not enough. And they get away with that.
A good play from Phoenix1. They finally do get the reward from the Trundle. Not in the way that they had thought, but they forced the collapse. Trundle's like, woo, look at me over here, guys. Everyone does come to try to take him out, and Phoenix1 is already on the Baron. They had multiple pink wards around there, complete vision control, so great job by Gate and the rest of Phoenix1. They're able to sneak that Baron, and that is massive. So a really big turnaround for them, but another Infernal Drake is about to spawn. You cannot give 3 to Fox. This advantage that you already have is insane. So Phoenix1, I feel, must fight for this. This is giving up 24% ADAP, and it looks like they're just going to have to do it, but the combat stat advantage they're going to have is just disgusting.
Yeah, they're trading. They take the mid lane turret. They do a Baron buff, so they're perfectly good at pushing, but I'm not sure they're going to get anything else. Even a second turret may not be worth what they've just given away, but they are going to get this turret as well.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to pick up a couple turrets, and they have the gold lead. That's great. But you have 24% more combat stats on the opposing team, which is just so powerful, especially as we're getting further and further into the game. We have multiple people who are building heavily into ADAP. It's not just the Sivir that's getting a massive advantage from this. It's not just the Swain, but the Kha'Zix as well is going to have insane assassination potential because he's building heavily into the AD as well. So, I mean, this is a Sivir that's pretty fed. 302, a ton of CS, and now he has 24% additional AD to boot.
It's a lot. And of course, Elder Dragon will be coming along at some point. I think it's the next dragon.
If they ever get that.
Good. And yeah, that's even more if they manage to take it. But right now, P1 have momentum. They'll use this Baron buff and try and get this gold lead, but EchoFox able to defend after taking that dragon away. And P1 kind of made it, I'm going to say a semi-all-in play. They say, you know what, we're going to trade for this thinking we can get enough of a lead that your 4 dragons will not matter. And that is a bold statement.
It's definitely a bold statement, and it's kind of painted themselves a little bit into a corner. A little bit of bad luck, you could say, with the triple Infernal for sure. The next one's going to be an Ocean Drake, actually, because it is that 6-minute respawn timer. It has to be post 35 for the Elder Drake to show his face, and they're going to have a chance to go at that. But at this stage of the game, that's certainly not going to be nearly as impactful as those Fire Dragons.
You can see Mash actually taking a boatload of damage from Swain, who has finished the Rylai's now. Froggen able to snipe that cannon minion. But Zig doing work. This is the Trundle of everyone. Really just enjoys. KFO, unfortunately, can't do anything.
Yeah.
Watch that turret die.
Nothing at all. And we're going to see them engage as you do hear the Sivir all popped.
Mash very barely got out of that snare. Froggen went for it, did even flash forward to try and take him out, but Mash will live this time, and Zig still wreaking havoc in the top side. I think Echofox need to pull one more here.
They have to make a decision, and it's either engage or it's defend. And they tried to go for the engage. They weren't able to pull it off, and so now Froggen is making his way back down there to help out KFO, and Zig may have bit off more than he can chew. He's certainly going to go down.
I don't think Zig can get... No, absolutely cannot get away with that. Zentinel even going to get aggressed on here by Hard, but just unborrows and shakes it off. Kha'Zix, though, doing some nice damage.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I don't think Rek'Sai cares too much. It's a full tank Rek'Sai. But if that was the Zyra, perhaps, he'd just be dead. So... You know, he definitely can put out the damage. Not much of a threat to a tank, but at the same time, it's not like Zentinel's going to turn around and kill him. So Hard's just kind of saying, get out of here. This is my jungle.
Yeah, and they actually defend the tier 2 and bottom side as well. So 5 turrets to 3 now for Phoenix1. Yep. Still with that gold lead, but again, not really the lead they may have wanted off that Baron buff. They've made a trade. They're 3k up, which is nice, but Zig could not crack open that top half of the map. Does go down, giving Froggen another kill. And Echofox, it just feels like they're happy to play patient because they know we've got the dragons, we've got the map under control. If they want to take the game to late and have one team fight to win, I think they're confident.
They should be. With 3 Fire Dragons, it's massive, but Phoenix1 has done a great job, I have to say, as far as eking out advantages around the map. They've consistently held this gold lead. They've been doing great to rotate around the maps, to pick up these objectives. Even sneaking that Baron was fantastic. And one thing that is going to work in their favor is it's ADAP, not health, not anything like that. So Maokai's actually getting nothing from the Fire Dragons, which means that Zig is not going to be disadvantaged in that 1v1 matchup really at any point in the game. He may struggle to fight Froggen 1v1, but he probably will not have to have that matchup. So if he's able to continue split pushing against the Maokai, they can still continue to try to carve out advantages for themselves, and that's really what they're going to have to do as you see Zig down in the bot lane looking for this inner tier 2, and no one really there to answer.
Yeah, Zig is becoming a bit more than a nuisance at this point. Spirit Wizard, Randuin's Omen, and the Hydra all done. Didn't even bother going for the Gauntlet at this point because he's tanky enough and certainly does enough damage. He does back away with, I think, all members of Echofox out of the P1 vision, but
they also have
he's not going to leave.
Some wards around now, finally, in the jungle. They have those blue wards, the trinket wards, which have been dropped down pretty consistently, and that is going to give him a little bit of safety. It's going to make him feel a little bit better, and he still has, you know, just a couple minutes left on this Glimpse of the Void Rift Herald buff, and then that is going to expire, and Maokai will be pretty happy to see that thing go.
Certainly will, but not sure he can stop the Trundle. We saw before, especially with Baron.
Yeah.
Wasn't too hot, but Echofox, I think, starting to realize that, you know what, we've got 3 items on the Sivir. Keith does now have the Infinity Edge completed. Buckets on there for Karma. Like, they've sort of got all the pieces. Dragon up in a minute 5. They're going to look to force a fight and try and close out the game, and P1 would be smart to pick either the right fight or just keep split pushing.
Yeah, I think that P1 eventually is going to have to fight him, but they may try to just avoid it as long as possible. And if you didn't contest for all the Fire Dragons, you certainly should not be contesting for the Ocean Dragon. I really don't think it's that important at this stage of the game when you've already given up so much. So they need to pick their moment. I don't think this is it just yet. And especially when you have squishy characters like the Zyra, the ricochet bounces from an Infinity Edge Sivir are so deadly.
Especially one that's been boosted by some sweet dragons as Zentinel just makes his way over the wall with the tunnel. Baron is also coming back up at a very similar time, so P1 splitting the map pretty effectively. Echofox do have to decide which objective they're going to try and fight over.
And the waves are pretty in the advantage right now of P1. And I think that if Fox commits too heavily to the Dragon, we may see P1 either try to make a mad dash for the base as the top lane wave is building up pretty heavily, or they could go straight for Baron and try to trade for that as well. So Fox sees this happening. They're going to have to back off, not go for the Dragon just yet. They wanted to keep the base alive.
Yep, happy to be patient though. Don't need to take it anytime soon, but do need to watch that top half of the map and certainly their structures. You can see again, they're going to move to that top half of the map and deal with that wave. Looks like Keith.
P1 though, going straight to Baron, they're pinging it out.
I like it. Smart stuff from Phoenix. Keith, that KFO so busy with that wave. Keith wanted it, but I think he needs to be with the team. Mash even going to check a Dragon is a bit ambitious.
I think it looked originally like they were just going to send him down to solo, but they decide that they do want to actually move a 3-man squad over. They're going to take this very quickly, secure themselves first Dragon of the game. Next one will be Elder. So no more of those regular buff dragons, and Ocean Drake will give them the mana and health regen that they need to kind of stay out on the map longer, and especially if you're just trying to avoid fights in Siege, it is going to be pretty helpful.
Yeah, seems to fit their team comp if nothing else, but Echofox now have position around the Baron area, so P1 going to have to be careful not to poke their head in too deep.
Yeah, and this Azir is becoming pretty scary. He's completed his Void Staff now, actually surpassed Froggen in farm, so Pirean's quietly been farming away, doing a good job of that for himself. We have a 3-item Ezreal as well, who does have that Manamune, or Muramana rather, active now, so he's going to be pretty scary, and a lot of damage being built up here from Gate. And as we talked about, Zyra heavily outscales the Karma support at this stage in the game. He has a lot of spell pen. He has enough AP that the plants are actually going to be very impactful, and people have to pay attention to that. They have to be scared. Even though he is a support, he can still isolate and take down people like Keith, like Hard, and even a lot of damage on the Frog.
Yeah, it's part of the reason why Zyra's been picking up a little bit in the support role. We saw it yesterday from Kiwi Kid. Almost made it work, but couldn't quite move that last game out to win for the side, unfortunately. Echo Fox, though.
Did win on Zyra, though.
Oh, did win on Zyra.
I believe so.
Bad.
Yeah.
I forgot.
I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure that was.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yep,
they won.
I remember. I called him Carrot Kid. Now I remember.
Yeah.
Echo Fox charging down mid lane. I think Froggen likely wants that 4th item, which I'm assuming is a Zhonya's, given the Fiendish Codex in his inventory. But unfortunately, Zhonya's a little awkward to buy now. So gonna have to go back and finish that off whenever he has the gold for it. But again, stuff on the map to deal with means that Echo Fox have to constantly check the Baron. Do have the vision right now though, so probably safe. Zentinel moves over a pink ward, but it's gonna ward back.
They also have to constantly check the Trundle.
Yep.
It's gonna be going for their turrets down here in the bot lane. And one of the nice things about not itemizing Sunfire Cape is when it's a low damage champion like Maokai, you actually just ignore them and right click on the turret, and the race becomes, the Maokai doesn't attack you.
Yep.
He attacks the minions to try to get help from the turret.
Yep.
And you don't attack the Maokai, you just attack the turret. So these guys are just trying to ignore each other, and it's actually the correct play. So Zig now gonna back off though, as things are kind of heating up around Baron. P1 has lost vision control on the Baron, and they are getting a little bit antsy, so I think they wanted to just kind of prepare for that, have Zig buy up, make sure that he's fully ready for any team fights that he may have to TP into.
Mortal Reminder done for Mash. Zon is now done for Froggen, and all the teleports are up for both teams, so definitely a big fight sort of been brewing here for the whole duration of this game. It felt like Echo Fox were going to maybe find a way in and just keep control of the map the whole game long, but P1 have done a great job getting themselves a lead here. But I think now 36.5 minutes in, despite the fact that P1 are still up in gold by 3k, that lead's held for a while. I feel like the game is very even based on current composition and items. So this big team fight's going to be awfully big.
I am really kind of a little bit confused though that Pirean just picked up a GA on Azir. I would have expected him to continue building damage, work towards a death cap. I guess he is really scared of being assassinated. This could be a nod towards the Kha'Zix, who, if the Kha'Zix does get on top of him, you know, Froggen flashes in, just EQs, and then Kha'Zix flashes on him, he could just be dead. So I guess that's what he's worried about. But I am scared for them when he has to be someone who really punches through Froggen, who really punches through KFO, because the Ezreal is not going to be enough to do it on his own. They need to have a huge damage threat from Pirean, and the GA is going to slow that develop.
Well, this is adorable because Echo Fox have been trapped on the other side of the map now after that Sun turret. And Echo Fox are just saying, all right, push our base, we'll start Baron. Like, okay, I don't really want that trade as Zentinel going to get himself caught a little, but he's very tanky.
Yeah, he is
most of that damage.
Very tanky. He can check with the Prey Seeker. He has that kind of echo vision as well. So definitely a lot of ways to check that out. But Froggen looks like he wants a fight here.
Oh, Mash forced to flash out. Good snare there from Froggen, but he doesn't quite complete the kill. Zeke, in the meantime, is still running interference in that bottom lane, with KFO trying to do something about it. Keeping the tower up for now. Echo Fox just need to hold this for as long as they can without getting anybody killed.
And this is really scary now for P1 because Mash is an AD without a flash. You have flash on KFO, you have flash on Hard, as well as Froggen. So they can kind of dogpile in onto this Ezreal. If Maokai wants to flash root him, they can all just flash on this guy, and there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, and you can see almost a double proxy wave situation as both teams are continuing to play on the enemy side of the map, but Baron is so important, and even Dragon's actually up in a minute 25. This map's getting awfully crowded.
It is, and top wave as well. P1 always diligent about the waves. They always seem to be pushing towards them. That has been their saving grace in this game, because someone's going to have to eventually answer that wave. That's going to mean bot lane turret is given up to Zig, as Maokai knows he has to deal with this before a potential Baron fight, and he's actually looking for the TP. He's going to go in.
Yeah, they're going to try and do something here, but Mash gets himself over the wall. Gate, though, not so lucky, and he's going to go down to Hard. Echo Fox get the pick they want, but they kind of have to keep running towards their base.
Yeah, they do. They need to answer the waves, but still, they get a free pick. One saving grace is no one else does go down for P1. Zig did not waste his TP. He saw that his support was going to die. Gate didn't blow his summoners, nothing like that, so they have everything active, but the death timer is running, and P1 needs to react to the Baron. They need to get there in time. Here comes the TP from Zig.
Yep, they're going to try and fight for it, but Froggen's also back on the way. This could be close. Baron is getting awfully low. Zig in the area, and it will actually go over to Echo Fox. Zig now cut off from the rest of his team. P1 just walk away from the area.
Yeah, bit of a mistake there from P1 for sure to not be in place for that a little bit earlier. You had to expect them to go straight to the Baron. After they didn't respond to that bot wave, the bot wave is just sitting there. No one's actually really answering that. You have to know that there's something going on. What else is on the map? It's the Baron. So I think a bit of a ball drop there for P1, but a great play from Echo Fox. You know, the pick on Gate is allowing them to do that. And now it's going to be all about Elder Dragon.
Yep.
While the Elder Dragon isn't as incredible for P1 because they don't have a lot of buffs that are going to get doubled up, you cannot allow a team that has 3 Infernal Dragons to take this. They must deny it from their opponents, and Echo Fox knows this.
Yeah, and for that, P1 have actually started it, but Elder Dragon takes so long to kill.
Yeah, it's as tanky as Baron, and they're going to have to pull off for now, but they cannot allow Fox to get this. I think if Fox takes this, they're going to end the game with it. It's just so many stats in addition to everything they already have, including the Baron. Fox doesn't need to go for it, but P1 cannot afford to give it up.
Yeah, it's only a 2-minute buff, as you can see there, but that's usually enough to finish the game. Fox have got fresh shops in as well, so this is a real tense moment here. 40.5 minutes in, this game's going quite long. Teams have danced around the map for the whole duration of this first game, but it feels like it's coming to a close, and Echo Fox know they can claim this Elder Dragon. That's likely a game win for them.
Yeah, it's going to be so hard for P1 to hang on, but they do have good wave clear. The Zyra is kind of a second mage now for them. They have a very strong Azir. They're still in the gold lead. They're still certainly in this game, but it looks like Fox wants to come in here. Sivir ult's going to be popped.
Trying to find another catch. It's maybe Zig that they can get here, but Pirean actually on the other side. Are going to try and chase him down. They're going for it, but a great pillar from Zig will disengage it. Hard just lands a slow, but it's not enough.
Yeah, and it's actually so bad when you have a GA and you get caught out like that, because you're not just giving up the one death, you're giving up the whole point of having your item. So it's like you effectively lose your life and then you just lost the whole item practically too, which is so brutal.
GA is not particularly efficient when you don't have the passive up. As Echo Fox going back in for it, KFO looking for a target but can only find Zentinel, who's far too tanky to be engaged on. P1 though are getting kept out of this dragon area.
Yep. And Mash sees this big lane wave building in the top, so he tried to answer it with his ultimate. Wasn't enough to thin it out, and eventually someone is going to have to go up there, but they don't have TP, so the longer Fox keeps them around mid lane, the better it is, because top lane and bot lane are both absolutely massive for Fox, and they're going to be pushing hard towards these tier 2s.
Yep, Echo Fox done a great job keeping these waves pushed out on their favor for the first time sort of in this game. And that is an absolutely monstrous wave you just tapped over to.
There's like 4 or 5 tandems in the bot lane. It's just a disgusting wave that'll absolutely slaughter the turret once it does get there. So Fox is going to be starting up the dragon, and P1 have to respond to this. They must make something happen. When will they pull the trigger?
They're actually doing good damage to it. This dragon getting way too low. Echo Fox
needs to get over there.
Going to try and move him, but Keith, I think, a little too far forward. They need to go for it, but Echo Fox going to start a team fight. They exhaust on a Zig and try and chase out Zentinel. Froggen dodges out the Zyra ulti with the zombies, and he's healing so much in the front side. KFO taking up everything, and Zentinel's going to go down to Froggen. Elder Dragon still aggro, but it's 5v4.
Yeah, P1 was so split. They had a squad of 3 and then their 2 tanks. They must try to continue fighting for this, but they're going to make the call. They're going to back off as their jungler is down, and the dragon buff is going to be active on Fox. They're going to be so ridiculously powerful. Mash steals away the blue. I mean, at least it's something, right? It's the moral victory.
Better than nothing, but the damage that's coming out of these carries is absolutely off the charts here. Echo Fox, just watch this turret if it starts getting autoed. And there's the TP, they're going for it. Keith wants it. This turret is not long for this world. Froggen straight in for it, gonna look for a carry. Mash again has to shift out of the way. Echo Fox gonna brute force their way into the bottom side.
Yeah, just look how fast these structures are going down. The true damage burn for Froggen, he's gonna be applying it to everyone with his ultimate up, so they're gonna have to be so scared. A character like Gate, if he gets EQ'd from Froggen, he's actually probably just dead.
Which is pretty scary. We'll break bottom side, take the inhib. Mash now going up top, gonna have to deal with that. So watch this fight again. Echo Fox just would not die.
No, they would not, but it's a pretty disjointed fight here. As Zentinel and Zig actually try to go in onto Keith, but look where their carries are. They're so far away. Sure, you caught Keith, great. You have no damage. And Froggen's able to Zhonya's out. He's able to buy enough time And then it's like essentially a 5v2 on the bot side where Zentinel and Zig just have to try to bail out. And this is poor positioning from Phoenix1. Mash came over to the Dragon so late. Pirean and Gate were both like, they're all together in this 3-man squad without their tanks. They need to be having an established front line, use Zentinel to buy time, allow Azir and the Ezreal and the Zyra to get their damage out, but they failed to do that. That gives up the Elder Dragon.
And again, there's almost nothing in the gold lead in this game, but we're so late in that it really just feels like that it's the buffs and the compositions that matter a lot more. And right now, EchoFox absolutely have the league with Elder Dragon and 4 dragons to back it up, including 3 Infernals. I mean, these turrets just don't stand a chance.
Yeah, and thankfully for them, the Elder Dragon buff is pretty short, but this is going to be another turret going down. And, you know, P1 is doing such a good job actually hanging on with this massive disadvantage from the Infernal Drake, so I really have to give them a lot of credit to that. And they're so close to actually being able to time this out, and at least it's back to just the 3 Infernals, not the true damage burn. They do have a very strong late game comp too, so they're certainly not out of this. They just need to hang on. And the troublesome thing is Baron is coming back up in a minute, and their bot lane inhib is down, which is the best one for Fox to have in order to apply pressure on that Baron. So they're always going to have Zig answering this wave. Thankfully, he does so pretty well. And if the situation's reversed and you're a Maokai trying to clear out super minions, it's really a lot harder.
Yeah, almost impossible actually. Yeah. It's Zig doing great work there, able to do what he can, but he's sort of tied to that bottom lane for a long time, making sure that the Nexus turrets stay healthy. Dragon up in 45 means it's probably time to get your last shops in, because this game coming towards the end. Certainly not over yet, and definitely anyone's game, because it really will just be one big team fight that can determine it. But EchoFox, they've got initiative here leading into this very late game situation now, and we've seen their team fights have been quite clean. We haven't had too many of them, only 11 kills so far in this game, but EchoFox, their calls just seem really clear and really precise.
Certainly. I do think that if EchoFox wins the team fight, the game is done because the base is already cracked. Whereas for P1, it depends the manner in which they win the team fight, where they are on the map, if they have the minion waves, etc. So because they haven't actually cracked the base yet, it's not a guaranteed win for them if they do win that big fight. But Fox is definitely going to have to be very, very careful still because the Baron is coming up. Baron does make you take a lot more magic damage, and especially against a Zyra plus an Azir, that is a frightening amount of damage coming out. So they're going to start it up.
It's certainly not free, but it is going down awfully quickly.
Zig's got to get over there.
EchoFox doing too much damage. Zentinel
in
the area, but it is way too late. They'll just take it down. Even smited earlier. Now they're going to try and look for the fight here. Zentinel may be caught out of position. He's going to continue to get slowed down. Hard's even going to move in there to try and lock him up. But it's just not enough. Zentinel actually tanking a lot there in the front side. Zig burns the ulti though, and P1 now have to weather the storm of EchoFox with a Baron buff.
Yeah, once again, and I think,
whoa!
Oh my God!
Just explodes out of Keith as he flashes forward to crit his face off.
Yeah, full build Sivir, 45 minutes into the game, 3 Infernal Dragons. He gets the crit, the W reset, another crit, and thank you very much. Fox is going to wander on into the base, and this very likely is going to be the end of it as Keith just deletes Mash and says, nope, this game's done.
Yep, Eddie Carey making the big plays there, and Mash gets wiped off Summoner's Rift. And with the Baron buff, EchoFox will move in to claim game number 1. This defense will have to be miraculous for Phoenix1 to hold on to it. One Nexus turret down, another's going to fall. Pirean's going to move the ulti out as EchoFox just going to try and take down the Nexus, and they will do so in style. 47 minutes in, but they keep control almost